Michael Savage.
Afternoons 3 to 7.
On Talk 910 KNEW.
And online at 910KNEW.com.
Warning. The Michael Savage Show contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised.
And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation. Here is Michael Savage. You're listening to an encore segment of Michael Savage.
It is the Savage Nation, and we are celebrating today because of a court ruling in my favor, and in the favor of freedom and liberty, and in the favor of the thousands upon thousands of people who contributed to the Savage Legal Defense Fund. You can read all about it on michaelsavage.com. CARE's attempt to extract cash from Michael Savage rejected. Or read the ruling itself, Savage beats CARE on fees motion. And this should give you a lot of encouragement about the court system, because the judge was appointed by Bill Clinton. She's a noted liberal, but she found, what am I going to say? Otherwise, she found fairly. She read case law, and she threw out their fee motion against me. And we're talking about $180,000 in fees they were claiming. It was ludicrous. So what I'm saying here is, if you are afraid of CARE because you're afraid they're going to sue you, or you're afraid of CARE because of their reputation, and you have a legitimate case, whether you're a city manager, a mayor, or whatever, as we saw all over this country, wherever there's a case of the attempt to impose Sharia law, it's them behind it. It's a very, very suspicious group, and we all know that. However, they have rights just as I do. Listen to this, and I'll read you a few sentences. She said, on August 29, 2008, the defendants filed a motion for an award of attorney's fees and costs under the Copyright Act, and that would be them. And the motion was scheduled for hearing on November 14, 2008. The court finds this matter appropriate for resolution without oral argument and hereby vacates the hearing. Then she goes back to the story. Savage brought suit in this court on December 3rd, 07 for copyright infringement and civil RICO, racketeer influence and corrupt organizations claim against defendants. That would be CAR. Blah, blah, blah. Then she goes on and says, the copyright claim was dismissed with prejudice, while the RICO claim against CARE was dismissed with leave to amend, meaning we had the right to amend it. Plaintiff failed to amend this complaint, and judgment was entered on August 15, 08. Now, we did not amend the complaint in court, but we spent a lot of money amending the complaint, and we were going to amend the complaint. But owing to certain situations that I can't describe on this radio show, I was told by my family to withdraw this complaint. And I think you can put two and two together, given the climate of a certain organizations in this world. Anyway, so I withdraw the complaint. My lawyers try to settle with them. They say they try to settle with my lawyers, but they never did, and we can prove it. And we presented that evidence to the judge. And the judge, I think, did not like their behavior. That's my interpretation. And I'm not going to read you everything she wrote, but listen to this. This is very important. You go down to the end of this case. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not a lawyer, so it's hard for me to find it. Judgment was entered. Court has discretion. Blah, blah, blah. It's only 2 pages long. It's on my website. Here it is. I got it. It's lines 18 through 22 of the finding of the judge, which is on my website. And she writes, here the purposes of the Copyright Act were affected only marginally. Plaintiff's Copyright Act claim, that's me, was never strong and was litigated anemically. That's what she's saying, so she didn't accept it. Plaintiff saved his heavy artillery for his RICO claim, which he ultimately abandoned despite having been given leave to amend. Now, here comes the punchline. The action was terminated promptly after resolution of defendant's first motion. Here is the line I've been building up to. While the court agreed with defendants, that's them, fair use argument, there were features of the decision which required analysis. That is a pregnant statement. There were features of the decision which required analysis. That means that had we gone ahead with the RICO complaint, we're not so sure it would have been thrown out so fast, okay? And I am glad to see that the judge at least read it to understand that we didn't just make this up out of whole cloth because we're bad guys. And so I want to thank all of you who have funded the Freedom of Speech Fund. I want to thank America. I want to thank the judge. Now, look, the case is not necessarily over. CAIR can go back to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals and appeal the judge's fee motion ruling. However, I'm on the recommendation of several attorneys that it's very, very unlikely that they will be found. It'll be found in their favor because this judge has used case law to say why they're not entitled to a dime. New York City, Steve on WOR. Thanks for calling the show today. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Mike, in denying this Rule 11 motion, this federal judge was saying you had enough ammunition to initiate your lawsuit in the first place, not that you had...
That's right. She said that it wasn't frivolous as they claimed. They made statements about me that are totally false. They said Savage sues everybody. He makes up cases. The fact of the matter is I'm one of the least litigious people on earth. And I only did this because they were trying to destroy my reputation. And so, therefore, yes, there is absolute merit in what I stated.
Yeah, even at the time, the time is reckoned from the time the lawsuit was filed, and she felt that there was what they call a prima facie case, enough evidence that falls within the four corners of this RICO claim. So,
are you aware that this group CARE received $500,000 from Saudi Prince Al-Walid bin Talal, the sheik whose $10 million relief check after 9/11 was rejected by then New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani after he blamed U.S. policy toward Israel for the attacks? Did you know that?
Well, they're certainly well-funded in the wrong direction.
Yes. There's more in the article, and I thank you for calling. The group said bin Talal is not a member of the Saudi Arabian government. He is a private entrepreneur and international investor. WND writes, this may be a distinction without a difference. Savage's lawyers argue, since bin Talal is a member of the Saudi ruling family. Quote, CARE is proud to receive support of every individual, CARE argued, as long as they are not an official of any foreign government and there are no strings attached to the bequest, close quote. Well, listen to what WND writes. The UAE endowment to CARE was specifically earmarked for public relations efforts to repair the image of Arabs and Muslims in America after public outrage doomed the Dubai bid to run U.S. ports. So whether you know it or not, because I was the lead talk show host in America on the Dubai ports deal, I was marked by them. Do you understand they have me in their sights, and they still do? Do you understand the kind of life I'm living? Do you have any idea what kind of world I live in? Lawyers for Savage argue that CARE may have used UAE funds and other foreign support to attack the radio host. I suggest you read the article. CARE's attempt to extract fees from Michael Savage rejected. It's linked up from WND on michaelsavage.com. And frankly, we have a lot to celebrate, particularly those of you who gave $10, $20, $50, $100, $500, $1,000, or $2,500. I want to thank every one of you if you sent even $1 at the time. This is a victory for me personally, but it's also, well, it's a vindication for me personally, but it's a victory for liberty in the United States of America. It's a victory for the rest of America, who will no longer be afraid of this lawsuit-happy group of intimidators. If you have a legitimate case against anybody, don't be afraid. Go ahead and try to find your freedom in the courts of the United States of America.
Savage.